And now we're joined by Rosemary Coxon, the Education Officer at Chichester Cinema at New Park. We're going to talk about the power of film. You chose the title for that, didn't you?
Yes, I did. It's quite a story behind this. If I could just elaborate. 2 years ago, I curated an event at the cinema called Rivonia about the trial of Mandela and the others. It was very successful and obviously had a law input and was attended by A-level law students and others connected with the trial. This year I wanted to do something similar, but with an English slant, using British films and set in this country. So I decided to look at films which influence public opinion and the law. I got very excited about this, but sadly my first attempt foundered because it was pointed out to me that it was very difficult with many of the films I chose to prove that they in fact did influence public opinion and the law. So I had to completely rethink it, undeterred, and I decided that only 2 of the films that I'd chosen from about 15 originally met that criteria, and they were Victim and Cathy Come Home.
So why Victim?
Victim influenced public opinion at the time that it was shown because there were various attempts to decriminalise homosexuality between consenting adults. And the film itself deals with Mel Farr, played by Bogard, who is a flourishing barrister but also a closet homosexual. And if this was revealed, then his whole career would go up in smoke. He was one of many men who were targeted by criminals and blackmailed because of their sexual history.
Let's have a clip.
You haven't changed. In spite of our marriage and your inmost feelings, you're still the same. That's why you stopped seeing him. You felt for him what you felt for Stainer.
That's not true.
You were attracted to that boy as a man would be to a girl.
Laura, don't go on. For God's sake, stop now.
I can't stop. I love you too much to stop. I thought you loved me. If you do, what did you feel for him? I have a right to know.
All right, you want to know. I shall tell you. You won't be content until you know, will you? Till you ripped it out of me. I stopped seeing him because I wanted him. Do you understand? Because I wanted him! Now, what good has that done you?
That was Bogard, as Rosemary just said, as Melville Farr, the barrister, confronted by his wife, Laura, played by Sylvia Sims. She is aware that he has had homosexual relationships at university, but had felt that was all past. And as the events of the film show, she's confronted with this situation again.
It is very interesting, and I think Sylvia Sim plays the part really well. She was actually 6 months pregnant at the time, but she's a beautiful lady and, as I say, was very convincing in the part. I think there are some really, really strong scenes in this film, particularly when she realises that her husband has not become the person that she thought she'd married and, in fact, is still tempted with her homosexual tendencies. But the film as a whole, I think, is completely riveting. But as well as the Bogard film, I must talk about another film which again influenced public opinion and the law, and that is Cathy Come Home.
Directed by Ken Loach.
It is, that's right. And it was shown as a television play on BBC television and watched by 10 million people. A landmark, really, for BBC films.
What was the law change that Cathy Come Home influenced then, Rosemary?
Well, to explain that, I need to say a little bit about the story. The story that's told in the film is the story of Reg and Cathy, a couple with 3 young children, who for various reasons start off with a lovely apartment, but whose lives spiral into poverty and very, very destitute by the end of the film for various reasons, none of which are their fault.
In other letters, we got £10 a week. Because Reg couldn't afford it, not on his wages, it meant that all the week we'd be living on next to nothing.
In Birmingham, 39,000 families on the waiting list. Leeds, 13,500. Liverpool, 19,000. Manchester, nearly 15,000.
What I am hoping to do is to show how Cathy Come Home, the film, influenced the way that homeless people were thought of. For instance, the laws were changed about husbands not being allowed to live with their wife in homeless accommodation. In the film, Reg, who's Cathy's husband, cannot live in the hostel where she and her 3 children are put. The actors in this film are outstanding, I think, particularly Carol White, who was a favourite of Ken Loach, and some harrowing scenes in this film, and a real influencer, so that what happened with the law is that the law was changed and husbands were allowed to be with their wives in homeless accommodation, and also that children could not be arbitrarily taken away from their parents as they were in this film.
It is an absolutely shocking film, isn't it?
Yes.
It's extraordinary. I mean,
Yes.
it's like Dickensian, isn't it?
Yes.
You think the conditions under which people
The workhouse.
lived and the way they were treated, and you think this was 1966, you know, it's
Yes.
not that long ago.
Yes, yes. The most shocking scenes to me are, there's a scene where the couple end up having to live in a caravan permanently because they're not allowed homes for themselves and their 3 children. And the people who live around the caravan site are absolutely furious that these caravan dwellers are here permanently. And they're almost given permission by the man from the council to resort to violence to evict them.
So the format of the event is clips from the films, some discussion, and a panel discussion.
We have Amy Elkington, who's the head of law at the University of Chichester, who's going to bring her students along. And we also have Ian Thomas, who is the head of law at Bishop Luffer. And I'm hoping more schools will take part as well. And we have 8 representatives of Stone Pillow, the homeless organisation in Chichester. We've also got 2 representatives of legal firms in Chichester, Pallant Barristers and George Ide. And it's going to be very interactive. It's not just going to be talking from the front. The panel will engage with the audience. There'll be questions asked. There'll be students hopefully asking questions and contributing answers, I hope. And it's going to be more of an interactive event than just a static talk.
And can you remind us of the date?
Yes, the date is Saturday the 9th of October, 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. with breaks, obviously, free to everyone who attends, but you do need to get a ticket because you need to know where to sit.
Great, that sounds like a fascinating event. I'm looking forward to that. Well, I'm going to be there. I know I'm going to be there. So. But I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Rosemary.